Hey guys, welcome back to Konversation with me, Rick.
Me, Nain.
And our special guest today is Ryssa. Ta-da! We've been trying to get in here for a while, so finally it's happened. How are you doing today?
Doing very well. How about you guys?
Good. Let me ask you a question. This is something we're always going to ask everybody. What have you been doing during the corona for the last 3 months since we have not been training at all?
Training the mind.
That sounds like a rigged question. I don't know. That didn't sound natural. That was
Okay. Well, you said training the mind then.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
How
have you been
now
training the
you
mind?
messed yourself up. Now you
No,
gotta answer the
I
question.
have an answer. Just like how you guys use everyday movements, like opening the doorknob to train a certain idea. When I'm outside, if there's people on the street, one thing that I want to focus on is like how would I bring my fight if I were in a public space, if someone was approaching me. And so I use people around me, just like your car.
Oh, that example. Driving, yeah.
Like to help me understand someone else's body mechanics if they're a different height.
This is actually pretty impressive.
It really is,
This is the
Yeah.
kind of stuff that I would be thinking about. And not just
Well,
like these-
because it made me think about you telling me a story about when you were security at,
Yes.
at a hotel and that Secret Service lady was telling you.
right?
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
And I asked her, "What do you do here when you're
Just
standing
standing
in front of a door for like 4 or 5 hours?" She
Yeah.
says, "Well, you know what I do is I just imagine all the worst things that could happen, and I run it through my head.
Yeah.
So when something happens, I'm able to deal with it." And,
Yeah.
and that's almost exactly what you said.
Yeah.
So what are some of the things that you come up with as far as the ideas of what you would do?
Yeah.
One of them is based on their body position as they're coming closer to me. How would I be able to make an entrance if they were to attack? Or if they were to attack from this side or this side, or if I need to close the gap, just running those simulations in my mind. It's a lot easier to do it on the street as opposed to at home.
Right. There's actual somebody
There,
there.
there's a body that you can project.
That's
use.
crazy.
That is. Well, let me
I
ask
would
you.
have never thought to do it that way.
Yeah, I know.
Because here you actually have people walking by you.
Yeah.
You only have that to really think of, okay, what if they just attack me randomly? What do you do?
Yeah.
That's cool.
That is really cool.
One of the things that I do know about you is that I personally had taught you how to do a rig prevention. And this kind of goes along with people walking by something just happening. So tell us just a little bit about that from your point of view. The classes that you teach.
Yeah, the rape prevention
Yeah,
stuff.
so one thing that, I've never had a background in martial arts prior to being at the Blade in Mind, so yeah, so I stumbled across this, but I think what is most important to me is that, especially me being female, I moved up to the Bay for myself. I want to understand how I'd be able to defend myself in a realistic way with my own body, with my own body mechanics, with my own confidence, and also practice awareness too.
So let me ask you this, because you said with your own body,
Right.
a thought of using a weapon at all in your mind, or
Yeah,
do you
so
carry a knife or a stick, or
I usually carry a hydro flask, so
Those
that
are heavy.
yeah, they're very heavy.
that's scary. What's a hydrophone?
It's a water bottle.
Oh, okay.
It's
flask.
like it's those metal.
Oh, that thing you always carry around.
Yeah,
I just thought it was like, water bottle.
yeah.
Well, yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter, but I think that's like, other than carrying a stick, that's the most
Right.
natural thing, other than a cell phone too.
So I feel sorry for the opponent.
Yeah.
the other guy does, because
Yeah.
But that's a very interesting thing because we do train essentially Filipino martial arts, but you said instead of carrying a stick. Now, would you ever find yourself carrying a stick at any point during your day?
I mean, it'd be cool to have those tools that like
Oh.
telescope, but I
Spending
mean,
the time.
it's not realistic to have it on me when I'm on the street.
That's a good
so
good point to make.
here's something you should know about that particular weapon. It's called an asp, and it's a police retractor. For you to be able to buy one, you have to be in law enforcement.
Exactly, yeah. And also I know that there's a lot of legal complications with,
Right.
with being armed with a weapon on the
That's
street. So something like a cell phone, an umbrella, or a cane, or a water bottle, it's doing no harm to someone if you're found with that weapon and defending yourself.
No, that's true. very smart. You really thought through a real life scenario, because that is what happens in a real life scenario. You attack somebody, or they have a knife, you take it away, you stab them 12, 16 times. You know, at one point were you safe, then that you could walk away, and now legally you're
Yeah.
in trouble.
Yeah.
So that takes a lot of fortitude to really think that through. But I want to know, when you have those scenarios, emotionally, what's going through like your mind? How do you actually feel walking by a group of people and going through these scenarios? I mean, do you
I
feel?
think, yeah. So the reason why I simulate this in my mind is because I want to understand if I'm able to react in a calm way if this were to happen. So the more that I imagine someone attacking me on the street, just like point blank, then I'm able to feel the anxiety and the adrenaline, and so that's the most realistic way I can experience that, as opposed to being at home and trying to run through it in my mind. Like I have a body to project these
Right.
Because
scary
that
situations.
feeling part,
Yeah.
that's a big part.
Yeah, and so like having to go through that constantly when I'm on the street, it makes me learn how to breathe and learn how to get used to this feeling that, okay, if I'm going to enter in a fight, breathe. I have to accept the chances that I'm most likely going to get hurt, so that it removes the fear. And then now,
And that's really important.
Yeah.
A lot of people think, oh, when I get in the front, I'm going to be cool and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I'm gonna hit
They
him.
don't realize when you get hit that very first time, and if you've never been hit before, all bets are off.
yeah.
You practically forget everything you've ever learned or had shown to you.
Yeah, isn't Mike Tyson who said it best? You know, everyone has a plan until you get punched.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, how long have you been with us?
I think 3 years.
Going on forward.
Yeah,
Going on
4.
four.
Yeah.
What is your favorite thing about the classes that we do?
How I mean the way that you guys break things down in a way that is so
Follow up with that one. Follow with that one.
potent. There's like it's so leaned out. The concepts that you guys talk about. There's no room for question in terms of how you guys analyze movements, regardless of the martial arts or whatever. You guys are able to distill it down to a very pure form of movement and understanding. So
I'm
I
gonna
think-
steal that. I'm sorry. You
Yeah.
said distilled down to a very pure. Like, oh, I like that. I'm sorry.
yeah, so it's like regardless of my background,
Never heard of that. Yeah.
and I know that we've been like changing our language to make sure that, or not make sure, but to refine it to the purest form.
Right.
I think especially like right now, the way that we say we weaponize our movements. And I was talking to Uncle Danny earlier. He was saying that we only move in a certain way: circular, horizontal, diagonal, and linear, right? But then in different martial arts, we sort of complicate it with all of these different cultural meanings and drills and stuff.
That's the
So,
thing that, yeah, it
so
drives a lot of us crazy.
yeah, so it's harder to break down the concepts once it's made into a business plan. So
It's harder to digest what you need
yeah,
to take away.
exactly. So I think if you're able to understand it in this purest form of movement, and then apply these concepts, I don't know, it just makes it super honest and very simple.
Now, I remember a couple of years back, and I only know this because I'm going to kind of put you in the situation. Your second stick fighting tournament, and who was that against?
Oh, like
Your
last
second-
year?
Yeah, same thing. Yeah. The men's division.
Teachers?
Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
an instructor.
You fought an instructor.
Yeah.
And to your credit, you held your own. I was really impressed by it. You know, the thing is, after that fight, you had a lot of women come to you.
Yeah.
And just really, what was that like? Just, you became all of a sudden a superstar, a celebrity.
I don't feel
no,
that way.
in the martial
No,
arts.
no.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you're recognized. I mean, I went to this convention. They were doing some classes, and I had other martial arts women come up and be like, oh hey, you guys train with Ryssa. Is she coming today? Is she here yet?
Yeah,
No,
it
she
was
said
crazy.
she'll be there later. You know, and then I made sure to point you out when you did come. I was like, oh, she's here, and then they came and they talked to you. That's what Rick's talking about. That recognition. Like, how does that feel to be
Yeah,
recognized?
because
as
here
a
it is.
badass?
You've only been in
I
this
don't
3 to
really-
4 years,
Yeah.
but yet here it is. You're recognized. The people
By
heard of you.
instructors.
Yeah, I mean that's amazing. I know
don't-
you're modest.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really think of it that way. I do see that.
Such humility. I love it.
I mean, yeah, I've been training for 4 years, but what does that really mean in time?
Yeah, yeah.
Like-
See, somebody
Like,
who
I don't really feel like, and I don't know. So when you guys tell me these things, I don't really know what to do with it.
All right, because a lot of people won't understand what you just said, and we're the only ones who actually know what that means.
Because we're
Yeah.
there.
Break down this whole idea of actual time versus
Yeah.
your 4 years.
So, time, I mean, like, you could say you've been training for these many amount of years, you have these belts, you're from the system, but that doesn't really portray what it means, like, how you fight, and, like, if it's effective for you. So, when it's sort of an arbitrary gauge, but I know there's a lot of work that goes behind training, of course. But so when, at least for me, when there's praise or if there's any recognition, it's hard for me to like gauge it, because when I do say 4 years, it's probably really like 6 months. And so like, of
Right,
like
and
pure
time-wise
training.
of hours actually
Yeah,
training.
and
So-
like,
so
I'm gonna
let's
be
break
real,
that
like,
down, right?
yeah, like
Because-
in the mental thought, like
Right.
it's not actually 4 years.
All right, so
Right.
how, on average, how long would you say there are to classes? Or
Per
better yet,
session?
that you're in class. Like, how long do you think you're in a class? How many hours in a class are you? Say you do?
So after years of because you guys are so like heavy on the mental process, my attention span it caps out at 2 hours. So that's why you guys see me do something.
No, it's fine.
It's
It's
because
fine.
like at that point, like I really can't absorb anymore.
Right.
That's good.
We actually had
know
that discussion, right?
Yeah.
How much is too
Much
much?
information.
Yeah.
You know, because after a while your brain will shut down. and say,
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let's think about that with it. Is you say so on average about 2 hours per class. Now,
Yeah.
how many classes a month, when we were training on a regular basis, would you show up? Because you didn't go every single time.
It'd be like every week to like every other week.
Right.
And then that would switch off. And then
So
there'd be a
2 to
couple
3 weeks a
months.
month that
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
would train. So that's what, 6 hours maybe a month
Yeah.
of class time that you
Yeah.
spend. Now you calculate that 10 months maybe because
Yeah.
you'd go on vacation or you'd have
Yeah.
other commitments.
Yeah, I
so
like
maybe
visit my family.
exactly.
every
Yeah.
week.
So out of a year, 10 months worth. So that's 60 hours a year. 3 years.
Yeah.
That's not a lot of time.
It's not a lot of. I mean,
Yeah.
if you
If you look
really
at it that
calculate
way.
the time,
Well, right,
it's
right.
not a lot. But because of what you guys teach,
Right.
the information sticks more. So it's like,
And here's the thing that I want to get across to you, and I hope that you take it the best way possible. Despite breaking it down by hours and saying, oh, in 100 and something hours that you've actually been training, you are being recognized by instructors who've been doing their art for many more
15,
years.
20 years.
And definitely many more hours than you have. That says a lot about you, not just the system, but you, because you're the one that's putting in the effort.
Yeah, you're the one
To
who
get
has to
that
fight.
far. Yeah, you're
Not
the
us.
one.
We taught you that, but you actually
You're the one who
leg
got
work.
into that ring, and I know it is for some of us a little difficult to take praise, but you should definitely accept that is a big recognition. I mean, and that's you. That's not us. We give you the tools. He tells you the things, but you put it together.
That's what I do like. That's what I do like about what we do, is that we don't leave it to the instructors to be you. We leave it to you to be you. You do with it what you need to do as far as how you see fit. For any particular instance, I mean, I remember when I was watching you fight, I had the camera there, and you did something where you freaked the guy out by just yelling, you're like, "Ah!" And I remember that so vividly because you were coming right at the guy and I was behind him. I'm like, holy shit, this is scary. You know, where did that come from? And after that segment, you looked at me and you kind of smiled like, you know, like, okay, that was crazy. I thought that was the best thing because you just fearless. And again, this was against an instructor, and you didn't care. You're like, no. And later on, I kind of remember you saying something like, yeah, I just wanted to try that. I was like,
Yeah.
Just do a little scream, see what happens.
now, in all the time that we've been doing this, right? You for almost 4 years, Naeem for 6 years, and me for God, who knows how long. What is the worst part of this stuff that you don't like? I mean, what is it about our train that you don't like, or you just hate to have to do, or what?
That grumble moment. Where you're like, I gotta
I know for me it was 30 days.
I think honestly it's like when I don't train and then having to come to class.
I know.
That sort of, I always have like a moment of shame or guilt.
Yeah.
Wow.
It happens every time, like even now. Yeah, just because I feel like there's this.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but that goes to show her level of commitment.
Yeah, no, but that's what I'm saying. It's
amazing.
like I would have never thought that.
No, yeah,
Of any student to say, I feel bad when I don't train. Usually it's like, oh, I didn't train, and then leave it at that.
No, I feel bad.
Wow.
But I mean, like me feeling bad doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
At the end of it, right?
Yeah.
So,
You're like, oh well, I'm here anyway.
that's the worst part, having to go through those motions, because at the end of the day, I know you guys don't really. I mean, you guys don't really care. Like you care that I take ownership for my learning and for myself. So it's just like this idea of like trying to impress you guys because you guys are great teachers, like and letting that go, because I think that clouds my ability to get information.
And you know what? We don't care about that.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah, that's why it's like
It's like
all of that, everything leading up to class, I feel that like anxiety, guilt, whatever. But then when I start talking to you guys, it goes away.
Oh, time to learn.
yeah, no, so
That's good.
Let's that away.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So here's a funny story about Ryssa. We're getting ready to do some sparring with padded sticks for a tournament, and I asked the guys, all right, everybody pair up, and everybody walked away from her. And I asked, hey, why don't you guys, somebody pick out, fight with Ryssa? Like, no, she hits hard. Paul, Paul, Sergio, Marco. They were all like, no, she
They
hits
were
hard.
all hesitant to.
Now, and I know the reason why you hit hard. It isn't just because of the martial arts, but you're a power lifter. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I'm not a professional powerlifter, but it's a hobby. So I train a lot on that aspect, and it helps with my overall delivery when I.
Yeah, because she can hit hard.
Oh yeah, I've had to block padded sticks. Just yeah, it hurts.
Yeah.
Oh, there was one time she was trying out somebody else's set of padded stick, and she was like, "Oh, okay," hitting his arm. She was like, "No, go ahead," and he egged her on to hit his arm a little harder, and she broke the stick.
Oh
I
yeah.
think it was like that was a faulty stick. I don't think it was like.
No, that was.
Those are the ones they use for the tournaments, and
Yeah,
you
it's
broke
just-
it in half, smacking his arm. It was Andy, I believe.
Yeah, it was Andy. Luckily, it was Andy.
Yeah, he's a tough guy himself. He's hard as nails.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was incredible. But that's I mean, to learn these things about you and stuff that we didn't know.
Yeah,
is
it's
the
amazing.
emotional state that you go through just before class, the emotions that you train yourself to feel on a regular basis as
that's
you're
cool.
walking through traffic. That blows my mind. Like, these are the proud moments that we love
Yeah,
to
because
hear.
then it really shows that whatever we've taught you stuck. Your mindset is that way now because of what you learned through the bladed mind and how you're perceiving your day to day. Right? I mean, if you're walking down the street and you're constantly saying, okay, no problem, might be an issue, blah, 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 and you're going through, your daily day, it's crazy to hear that from a girl.
as
You know?
your training
Yeah,
format.
and I'm not trying to be sexist or anything.
No.
But most women aren't thinking that, because I used to get to class too, and their minds are always somewhere else. Oh, we're gonna go party tonight.
Oh, I need to get this done. I need to get
Yeah,
this done.
and they're not thinking about the possibilities of anything happening or whatever else. And and I kind of wanted to go back, and I'm bringing this up because I'm trying to go back around to the rape prevention class that you teach. I mean, people who have taken your class are thoroughly impressed by you all the time. They say, "Oh, she's an awesome teacher," blah blah blah, all these accolades that you get from it. But little do they know, you haven't been doing this so long. But yet, the way you come across, the way you deliver your spiel on all that, really makes them believe like, wow, she's really good.
And it's all you.
Yeah. What were your thoughts when you were first learning? When I first told you, hey, I'd like you to take this class. What did you think about
To teach it.
it? Yeah.
I empathize with whoever may receive this information just because I'm part of that. And I mean, like, my background being that, I grew up introverted. I was very shy. Even though I was into powerlifting and like all of these other very masculine things, I was still very timid as a person. So even on the streets, like, I would not walk the most confident, or I never really thought about awareness or how others perceive me. So to be able to be in a position where it's just information, right?
Yeah.
And to just provide this to a community, to other young females just like myself who are independent, living on their own, or even like just the younger generation. I didn't really think too much deeper into just knowing that it's like a good resource, and I want to pass it on. If it could even just change the mindset, not even, because we can't guarantee anyone's safety.
Correct.
For whatever we teach.
Good. Thank you for saying that.
Yes, that's very important.
And again, like, a lot of the training and mindset has that ownership has to be on the individual. But if I could influence them even a little bit, or just have them have those thoughts in the back of their mind of like, oh, like, I'm getting this feeling that this may be an unsafe environment, or these look like safer places to be, or
Right.
maybe I shouldn't go out right now. Especially with like the state of the world, then I feel like I've contributed back to the community, and it's just like a way for me to pay it forward to you guys. Yeah. So yeah.
If you were to give one piece of advice about rape prevention, what do you think that would be? What would be the one thing that you would focus in on and say, here's the absolute thing that you should at the least know, or an idea that you would give? What would that be?
I think the biggest thing is to not at least for me, after training, and there's like multiple things, right? So this is the first thing that will come to my mind. I had this rare sense of confidence that I could walk through any crowd or walk through a group of guys, and it's like they won't touch me if I, act hard or look a certain way, or just act like they're not there. I think just to let go of that ego and just see that anything can happen, and just practice awareness of and be humble that you really don't know what can happen. And just having that mindset, it doesn't mean you have to be very scared or live in fear or change who you are just to fit this like very whatever safe lifestyle. It's just be a little more mindful in your decisions.